This video is kind of a response to a question that I had during one of my lives about Qigong. And I did a little bit of research and I come across a video from Flowing Zen. Does Qigong count as exercise? And then someone in the video this morning's live commented on do you do exercise, or what is it you're doing? So I thought I'd address some of these questions in this live. That's what this live's about. And speak about something called LISS, which Qigong is basically low intensity steady state. There's more and more increasing studies to show that when we have LISS, low intensity steady state, it helps with longevity and can help with other things. So this video is for you, for a couple of you, if this information might be helpful. If you feel guilty about not exercising, if you're an athlete, or you are someone that does lots of other exercise, like you're a regular gym goer, you do HIIT, which you might have heard of, the high intensity interval training. So it's fast movement, impact, and how Qigong can help you as well. And also, if you're someone that suffers with stress and you want a tool, a very physical tool that you can utilize, and if you are very spiritual but you need grounding, this is great to utilize for that as well. So 3 different things, we're covering different subjects, and I know those groups of people are all very different. So what is Qigong, and does it count? So I've written some notes here to go over this. So if you've never heard of Qigong before, what I generally say to people, have you heard of Tai Chi? Tai Chi is a form of Qigong. It's the martial arts used for martial arts. Definitely an exercise. So it's like a class in exercise. It's movement, it's flow. It's a little bit more intense and more from... What are you doing up there? The cat is up the top, so I'm just going to keep an eye on him. Because you have to remember the movements, a bit like dance routine. So if you're someone that is starting out and you're feeling guilt that you know you should exercise, but you want to get into movement, this is why Qigong's good. You might not want to pick something like Tai Chi where you've got to remember everything, or dance movements, or you might find that fun. It's an individual thing, but we're going to count that as definitely an exercise movement. So the other question that the guy once asked me during the class, and he said, well, you're wearing like normal clothes. As long as they're comfortable, as long as you're comfortable, you don't necessarily get sweaty. You can challenge yourself and you can use Qigong with weights and make it more intense if you wish. And I did start a couple of classes where I was combining my HIIT sessions that I was doing for myself personally with my Qigong, purely so that I could do them combined and one and done. That's it, out the way. So I thought I would do a few sessions for that to get fit for the summer for people to use. So that's just a little thing there, note for next summer if that interests you. So that's definitely exercise. But Qigong, we move the body just as LISS does, with low intensity steady movement, such as when we were in ancient times, we would have been hunter-gatherers, we would have been moving, we would have been doing stuff, but it wouldn't have been like a fitness exercise routine like we do now, which actually is sort of based, a lot of the stuff we do with stretching and such comes from a lot of these ancient cultures that they've kind of modernized a little bit to do what was done in ancient times and to mimic what we would have done before we had computers or other stuff to do what we do. We didn't have to go out and hunt for our food. That time, that energy was then spent doing. Now is, what do we do with it? We're not using it in the same way. That's why we start to put on maybe a little bit of weight if we're not exercising. There's thousands of studies. This video is not about the thousands of studies of why exercise is good for your health, wealth, mind and well-being. That's a fact. Everyone knows that it does. But because of that, there is this other side of things that kind of we kind
A famous TV comedian once said, I love exercise. I could watch it for hours. I guess what you're saying in essence is what you don't use. You lose strength, flexibility, etc. But here's something I've often wondered. What about yoga? You get into a position and hold it, you develop very little strength. Maybe a lot of flexibility and concentration. What's your take?
My take would be, if you could actually hear that, is that when we do things like yoga, when we do things like Qigong, we are challenging ourselves in a different way. We're using our balance. Some of the poses, specifically with Qigong and you hold those poses and up for hours. It was for people, as I said, in ancient times, they would have been using these. The soldiers, the army, the 9-mile tapping that we do was because they were tired. Their legs were hurting after walking and marching for a long time. They used this to bring life back in, to help with the muscles and to move that chi around in their understanding and the knowledge of how the body energy flows and its systems flow. Breathing is key as well. When we breathe, if we breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, we're telling our sympathetic nervous system that we're not in fight or flight. What I tell people, I had a guy that was a delivery driver actually drop some stuff off at my house, and I got talking to him, and I was talking, he said, what do you do? I said, I'm a Qigong trainer, a meditation teacher and facilitator and stuff. And he was saying, oh, I suffer really badly with anxiety. And I said, well, the two things I tell people, or three really. One is the shaking, like when we reset our nervous and we shake, we're telling the body it's okay, it's safe. You're coming out of the fight or flight reflex. So if you're in panic mode, you're in overwhelmment mode, to shake can really get you out of that, get you out of your head and back to here. Like, it's like people say, well, we're slapping you around the face. It's like a physical slap for the body to reset things. 2, breath. You hear people say, just breathe. Well, it is a case of just breathe, because our breath cycles signal to the body what we need. And if we're taking in extra oxygen when we're in fight or flight, we need to run. We need to get out of here because the saber-toothed tiger is going to catch us. Or in our modern times, it's going to be the mother-in-law. I'm lucky with mine, but hey ho, not everyone is. Or that fear of that boss or whatever it is. You've got to get out of it. You're taking in more oxygen, so you're breathing in more, faster. We live less. It's being in stress more over time. It's why they say if you breathe in through the nose and out through the nose and you're more in calm, you're less likely to be someone that suffers with stress and anxiety. If you do suffer with stress and anxiety, practicing this as a tool to just breathing in through the nose. And even so, and what I recommend when you do that when you're exercising, you learn to regulate that. You get your body into rest and digest. You're telling it that it can do more, that it can cope because it's safe to do so. You don't need to run. So it doesn't need to like prioritize getting in more oxygen because you're needing to run away. You are more in a relaxed state. Therefore, your brain works better. You're more in flow, in connection, and you're able to just have that breathing space. So meditation teaches us to be good at life. And again, that comes up and it comes into Qigong because we use meditation a lot. We use visualization a lot. We're connecting with the whole being. It's a whole body process. And with meditation, you have that sort of time where if you meditate regularly, you get used to allowing things to come to the surface and not holding on to them and letting go. The thoughts, the thought forms, the stories, whatever, not the awareness that it's not you exactly. You're the awareness of that. And the same within the body. And this is why it's good for people that have never exercised before, because you might be someone that's stuck in those shoulds. I should exercise more, but when I go to a class, I find it so hard to get going again. For those people, this is brilliant springboard, and it can become what we call, not a gateway drug, but a gateway habit to living and leading a better life. You'll find if you do 2 minutes or just one pose, I recommend you do the class, and even if you just do one of the poses that we do in class, and that pose, just that pose, you'll end up probably doing more, but if you just do one, or plan on doing one of the classes and one pose within each class, a couple of minutes each day, you'll end up doing more eventually, because you start to feel like you can. And one of the things that Qigong is really good is getting your energy moving, because it's slow. It's the LISS, it's the low intensity, steady states that over time, like doing the housework, walking, can all increase and lead to better habits with eating, better food choices, better, brain like recall, and allowing your time to be managed better in your day, throughout your day. I find even if I don't do a Qigong class, if I don't teach a class in the morning, I end up doing my Qigong for myself. I may only do 20 minutes as opposed to the half an hour part of the movement part of our class, or an hour sometimes. However, when I'm doing the dishwasher, I might start doing a movement to doing things, and I find myself doing these repetitive movements, the incrementational things throughout my day. Oh, I'm waiting for the kettle, I'll do a couple of squats. Just little things, because I haven't done that. But that's fueled by my realization that I know I always feel better, and I get that high like some people would do after exercise, but in a different way. I feel more energized. It also kicks you out of the guilt for I should. Turning all your shoulds to kids was one of the first lessons I did with my members, which is a Louise L. Hay book, You Can Heal Your Life. It's one of the in the first chapters. So yeah, you could just do 2 minutes. So it lets go of the guilt that we maybe have if we're struggling with getting started within doing any movement. So does it count as exercise? For those of you that might be, probably less of you that are actually athletes on here, but the guy that actually commented he said, I think his title was gym goer or something like that. So maybe there's someone that goes to the gym 7 days a week. So how can this help someone like that, or an athlete? What research has shown is generally those people do too much, but don't do enough recovery and relaxation to balance that. And everything is the yin and yang. We need the balance. So by dropping some of their sessions, their training sessions, and intersecting Qigong instead, overall their performance actually gets better. They can what's the word? What is being activity? So in my notes I have it here. Let's just go back to what was it. So for longer periods, they're able to do more walking. What is it? Maximise, that's the word I was looking for. They maximise their overall routines and their times, so they can have less training sessions, have the recovery as well that their body needs, so they can end up better performance overall. So athletes are maximising that. So a lot of the guilt is alleviated for those people that don't necessarily, they're struggling to get out. It's great for you. And if you are someone that does lots of exercises, it's great for the breathing, the relaxation, the stress, and your recovery times, and getting your recovery times better, because like I was saying, the breath that we do, the movements we do, and actually I challenge some of you to do some of the holding poses for longer, for your balance, for your strength in your legs. So overall, you're doing that. It is stretching in a way, but it's not just that. It's so much more. So hopefully I've answered some of those questions. What was the other thing I was going to answer? Yeah, the spiritual one. So someone was saying, because they must have only come in for the end part of the session, or they were like, oh my God, I'm doing an exercise class and this woman's challenging me out, which I can understand. They might be like, whoa, what's this crazy stuff? I would have been 5 years ago, that would have been me. That's how I totally get it, and I'm cool with it, and why I felt the need to share this. Because it's easier to ground in these higher energies. You'll notice on my channel I have a playlist that's Qigong for Ascension. It's about using Qigong practice, that energy cultivation and that movement and grounding in the body. Also, I channel a lot of what comes in. The reason this is important for me to share is because I was introduced to Qigong by a guide. I didn't know what it was before. I had to research it, and I was still a bit like, oh yeah, okay, that's like Tai Chi. In my mind it was Tai Chi. I didn't realize it's energy movement. And then I'd seen someone talk about it on, actually it was Humanity Rising, I think, first time I heard the word mentioned. And so I researched it even more, and obviously now I've trained to become a teacher, and this is what I do. I've integrated it into my meditation teaching, and other training and other modalities, and we do this every morning. I start my day. It started for me wanting to do this and doing this for my own practice, so that I'm doing it every day. I was one of those people that wanted to get back into it, that used to do the gym every second. Move that up. Hopefully you can hear me again. Sometimes it cuts out the sound when someone tries to call. And now integrating both the spiritual aspect, which a lot of classes you've got, even Qigong included, as well as, because Qigong isn't necessarily a religious practice, it is and can be just the move, just the exercise. Like you can take the Qigong, the yoga part of that, and people generally do, and separate it from the spiritual aspect of it. But the yoga practices were and always have been to help with the spiritual practice, to help with the grounding in of these high energies. That's where and why they were created with these movements. It was also to help with Qigong more, so the martial arts, to channel the energy, hence things with Tai Chi, how you could utilize the points in attack as well as defense. So hopefully I've answered those few questions. As it's Thursday on my members area, I normally say, is there any questions you want me to ask? I thought I would answer the questions that I've had come up during the lives and the classes. So yes, Qigong is a form of exercise. Yes, it can be stretching. Yes, it can be spiritual and very grounding practice for working through and connecting with high spiritual energy. Yes, you can utilize it with other exercises as LISS, low intensity steady states. Combine it with your HIIT, your high intensity interval trainings overall, and use it as a beginner's practice to get yourself into exercise. And finally, the one I hadn't really gone into too much is meditation and recovery. More importantly, if you are recovering, say you've been used to doing lots of exercise and you've got maybe a hip problem, a shoulder problem, it's brilliant for that, because it's about slowly integrating over time, incrementally, a little bit at a time, these what we call breakthrough habits, these habits that compound habits over time will allow you, just by doing a little bit, even a couple of minutes a day, you'll start to feel you want to do more, and you might start doing and finding that you'll do others. Like you might go walking more, you want to connect more, you want to be in your breath more. All of those things, those relaxation or an overall picture can lead us to living a happier, healthy, more authentic life. Thank you for your time, love and blessings, and I will see you for class if you're welcome to join me. Oh, classes, if you want to join, if you just don't want to look for, oh, she's live and it's there, go to my Patreon, links are in the bio, or on Instagram, on Facebook. I pop the videos up there when they're finished. You do not need to be a paying member. There is a charge for those that want to support me. There's different levels of payment for whatever you've got to access the library or just access the few that are there. There's lots of options. So for energy exchange for the classes, so I can keep creating. So I'm really thankful for my members over there that have supported me and helped me grow in my small business. And of course, you can keep watching on our channel. Please like and share with anyone you think would benefit. Thank you.